Roses win their third Rugby World Cup in front of a record crowd at Twickenham. We'll hear from the team live this hour. Hello there and good morning. Plenty to get to this hour. We'll begin in Liverpool at conference, and the Labour Party will get their annual gathering underway today. It's going to be a crucial few days for the Prime Minister as he attempts to fight poll numbers that show him way behind and challenges to his leadership. Well, the fight back is already underway, in a way, with the PM calling plans by Reform UK to change the rules around indefinite leave to remain here as racist and immoral. Well, the government's housing secretary defended the Prime Minister this morning, telling us that he will absolutely lead the Labour Party into the next general election after new polling revealed half of Labour members want him to stand down. Now, we'll hear a bit more from Steve Reed in just a moment, but let me just take you through some of the big numbers from that big poll. Well, it shows more than half want a new leader to fight the next general election. When asked how Keir Starmer has governed for the last 15 months, more than two-thirds said badly. And it's a similar share that say that the party is headed in the wrong direction. Just a quarter say it's going.
It's like the end of an era, you know. But I'm ready. I've had my biker moment. Plus, it's free to sell on eBay and I got a really good price. Goodbye, biker girl.
Bye.
Okay, next.
When it's this easy to sell for free, you can't help but say when it's eBay.
Over his career. I think I was on your show the morning after the Hartlepool by-election, and people said then Keir Starmer could not win a general election for Labour. He picked this party up off the floor and he led us to a landslide victory in the general election last year. That victory gives us an obligation to focus on changing the things that...
All right, let's take you live to the news conference. The Red Roses is celebrating. Let's just listen straight in.
And not divert on the basis of one poll or another.
Well, when you say one poll or another, I certainly wouldn't have the temerity to...
What went through your mind when that final whistle actually went?
I think it was just like a moment of just absolute proudness. Like, it was just, we built this over 3 years, and is that not a word?
Yeah, can be.
And yeah, we've built this over 3 years, and it was just so special to just kind of take in that moment and enjoy the 82,000 people that were there and with this special group on the pitch. And yeah, it was just a moment where we've bloody done it.
I'll let someone else jump in after this, but Hannah, how are your knees after this?
It was actually a lot more slippery than people might have thought. It was no problems at all. In fact, I actually think it helped one of my knees. So yeah, they're actually real good.
Bots has been on a knee slide ban since the first video.
Yeah,
Physios have been on it. Anytime it's like raining outside, there are no bots. So it was good for you to be let loose last night.
Yeah, it was actually, and they wouldn't have stopped me even if they wanted to.
Thank you, well done.
Can I ask what all of your thoughts on Twickenham yesterday? Because I know we all enjoyed the experience, but how was it for you guys?
Maud, this is your question.
Pretty insane, to be honest. I think the best bit was seeing like all the people come out from like in the like on the stands as we were walking out. It was like incredible. It felt like a film. I felt like a borrower.
You're not a real person.
Keep it up.
A borrower.
Very cool.
Small person.
It's a really good film.
Yeah, you should watch it, Mitch. You'd love that film, actually.
Would love that.
We would love that film.
You're always learning new things with these girls.
But the music, the pink and yellow smoke, I mean the whole atmosphere, the cowgirl hats everywhere.
Yeah.
Maud, that's for you.
Sorry, I didn't know
questions
if it was for me.
It's always for you. All of these are for you.
No, very cool.
Is that it?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay.
For people who watched as well yesterday who maybe haven't followed the PWR, I wonder how great would it be to kind of see the crowd that we saw yesterday and for all of those people to get behind women's rugby for Prem, maybe get down to the Bristol Bears game. What would be your message to anyone who's loved what they saw yesterday?
I think like anyone that came yesterday is going to come back. everyone there, like the energy, everyone that we've spoken to, whether you're a diehard Red Roses fan or it was your first occasion, like it was unbelievable. And I think like you talk about moments and trying to encapsulate a moment, like that is one that we will genuinely never ever forget. Getting off the bus, like what it was like, it was unbelievable. And like, let's see that again. Let's have that again. Let's have that in the Six Nations against Ireland. Let's, even like any game that's been at Twickenham, I genuinely think that atmosphere was just unmatched. And yeah, bring it on. Let's see more of that.
More, that's how you're supposed to answer, mate.
Really,
really good.
But it was, not media trained.
Can I just ask you as well about Hallie, because we've talked a lot about your journey over the last couple of years and taking maternity leave and coming back so soon, but to have her on the pitch with you at full time while you win a World Cup, that must have been an incredible moment for you.
Yeah, I think for all of us to have our friends and family there was unbelievable. Obviously to like have my daughter there, and I think like when you speak about what you'll remember from these games as well, for me it's like when we walk around at the end, the amount of like parents with their daughters on shoulders like watching, and they might be no relation to us, but like for me those moments like they mean so much because it's bigger than just us and our game and our World Cup final that we'll remember forever. Like it's bigger than that, and I think we can see that. And we always said we want to win a home World Cup, but I think the other part was like what we could create and how we could inspire people. So like, yeah, for me it's been incredibly inspirational to have my daughter there, and like she's driven me to, this whole last 2 years. It's been amazing, but I think the wider picture and how everyone's daughters have driven us, and we wear the T-shirts that say for the girls, and it really is.
John, we should have sent Abby.
You experienced a lot of things in rugby. Well, how does yesterday rate in your career?
That'd be pretty good.
If he doesn't say the top, I'm swelling him.
It's huge. Like the girl said, like there's some parts of the day that will stick in my life forever. Like I remember when we got off the bus, we were walking to the main monuments to entry. But I just had a quick glance to the south stand with it, and the place was just spilling with people. Like I've never seen that before. And I just think the national anthem, the way they were sung, and it just seemed so powerful. It just seemed so England, and which was cool. But also, to be associated with these girls is that they're driven. They've changed my life, and they've changed the way I think as well. So all those sort of things are added bonuses to a trophy's one thing, and medals another thing. But actually, the value of the people and the quality of the people that you work with is the ultimate.
You just said there that it's changed your life and changed the way you think. In what way has it changed the way you think or coach? Because there's been quite a lot of talk, more generally about male coaches in women's sport and so on and so forth. I'm just interested to know in what ways you think it's changed.
Well, the thing is that I've spent most of my career in the men's game, and it's a bias, isn't it? It's my only reference that I ever had. To then get the opportunity to coach these girls, you've got to observe, you've got to listen, and you've got to find ways that make them tick. And I think the strength of any male or the advice for any male is that give the woman the chance to express themselves. And I think that's probably the thing that I've allowed the girls to do, is allow them to express themselves.
John, we know your contract runs for a while longer. Last night you talked about it being the end of a chapter. Would you potentially like to be part of the next chapter beyond next year?
I'm still part of the next chapter, yeah. So we've got a Six Nations in April, but got plenty of time to think about it as well. Take a little break and then do some road trips in November to make sure that we're back into heading into a new goal, and then January we'll probably do another road trip and see what everyone's why is and their goals, so that we make sure that we invest in the right people going forward.
Girls, you're looking remarkably fresh for where you may be at this morning.
Next year.
The fact that you've got another big party to go to in a few hours in Battersea, what's your message to anyone who's thinking about coming to that later on?
Next time's one to.
I think if you want a good time and you want to see some good people having a good time, come to Battersea. That's the best place to be.
Just seen on Tatiana's Instagram some, was it golden muffins or some sort of...
Yeah, I was eating one as I walked in.
What is that?
Biscuits.
Biscuits.
Chef Tom's
Special. Seriously good
golden
biscuit.
ones as well. Very
Yeah.
nice.
To do what you've done off the back of the Lioness as well, it's this wonderful summer of women's sport. What does it mean to be a female athlete representing England at the moment? What does it say about where everything is at in this country?
Maud?
I think I don't.
I think it's like amazing. I think earlier in the summer we obviously saw the Lionesses, and that kind of gave us the inspiration to kind of do our part and want to build that momentum. And I think the whole part of our journey as well as being successful, we've wanted to inspire that next generation and create that momentum for young girls. And like Abby said, see the young girls in the stadium being on shoulders, but also inspire them to go to their local rugby clubs, pick up a rugby ball and get into women's rugby and be the future Red Roses.
And how good as well, like just throughout this summer of women's sport, of just like each team supporting each other, like across sports, the cricket, the netball, like whatever it is, the football, the rugby. Yeah, but sorry, women supporting women, love it. Women supporting women, but I think it's such a I think. Sorry, I have to put up with this on a daily basis. Sorry, this is why we room together, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You're right, Bob.
No.
John, final one from me. I know you're more of a worm guy rather than a news slide kind of guy, but how did you celebrate last night?
I was actually pretty quiet. I was just sipping away on my beers at the village. Julia brought a whole lot of people in from the village. Obviously, you kind of like, we had lots of little things to deal with. I just couldn't wait to see my wife. So it was cool. And then, I snuck out. I faded out about 1:30. The room looked like a bomb site this morning, but I'm sure we've got another day today, so it's all about endurance, isn't it, girls?
Absolutely. John, it is.
Hannah, at the start of this tournament, you said you wanted to kind of make yourself the best loose head in the world. Do you think you've fulfilled that now?
I don't know. Someone else could make that decision for me.
Maud, on the other kind of side of the scrum, what have you made of kind of Hannah's tournament?
She's bloody good. Very good, very good.
Only 2 yesterday though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not. That was ridiculous. Sorry, I can't say that.
No.
I can't say that. Sorry.
It was really nice of you when you gave me the card.
Yeah, I think that was. I think it was warranted.
Yeah, I think so too.
Having watched it back, yeah, and I apologise.
So you're the captain of the World Championship English team. Only Martin Johnson's done that in this sport in England. Have you had any famous messages of note? Congratulations.
I've actually barely looked at my phone in the last few hours, only to play the music last night.
You're seriously good at that, all right?
But yeah, no, I actually haven't had time to look at my phone yet, so I think that'll come in at a few days' time when I actually have time to look at my messages and reply to people.
So is it right you haven't had a drink since Bordeaux last year?
13 months and 2 days.
And she outlasted everyone as well.
Yeah, and I
outlasted everyone. Crazy.
With Vinted's new categories, you can now sell even more pre-loved items and feel new again. Don't use it, sell it.
Achieved everything you could possibly want to this past World Cup cycle. How do you go again? If you've scaled Everest, what do you do next?
I think it's about, obviously, this chapter's kind of, after we've had our celebrations or close, and then I think it's about bringing the next generation of Red Roses to light. Obviously, we'll get a new fresh look of girls coming into the squad, and I think that's what keeps us fresh and that's what keeps us chasing. We're obviously very...
All right, we're going to step away from that news conference with the Red Roses because, as you can see, the Prime Minister on his feet at Labour Party conference to open this year's event. Let's go there and let's listen now.
Thank you, Conference. Thank you, Conference. Thank you, Liam. It is a wonderful city, and we are so happy to be back here. but conference, every year when we come to Liverpool, we are reminded about the depth of loss and pain felt because of 97 people. So many of them young, never came back from a football match. And then shamefully, the state covered up the truth, even colluded in smearing the victims, a stain on our national story. Now, for the past few years, we as a party, I as an individual, have vowed to do what we can to bring a measure of justice to the families affected by this. And I say a measure of justice because nothing can ever replace the loss that is felt so deeply, unimaginable loss. But just as important to reform our state so it can never happen again. So I am delighted to say that this year we do not have to make any more vows. We have a law, the Hillsborough Law. A law which shows that this government is on the side of justice, that we will do the hard yards for working people, and that we're building a country which sees and respects everyone. It's an incredibly important moment for the 97, for Liverpool, but most of all for the whole country. And conference, we must recognise that it was an unacceptably long and hard fight for the campaigners, for the families and victims of Hillsborough, to get us to this point. And so it's not the government should be thanked, it's not me that should be thanked, it's the families and campaigners who, after such unimaginable loss, had almost every obstacle put in their path to get to justice. But it is my privilege, and it is a privilege, to introduce someone now who can tell you all about that fight and what this law means for so many people across this country. Conference, please welcome Charlotte Hennessy to the stage. Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you, Prime Minister. For those who don't know me, I'm Charlotte, daughter of Jimmy Hennessy, who was unlawfully killed at Hillsborough when I was just 6 years old. It is an absolute honour to speak on behalf of the Hillsborough Law Now campaign group and welcome you all to Liverpool. I think we can agree that this is the greatest city in the world. Our group is filled with the kindest, most empathetic, fierce, tenacious and powerful people, all who continue to battle injustice, yet through their own suffering, they want to protect others and wanted to change the flaw within our justice system. Many call the Hillsborough Law, or to give it its official name, the Public Accountability Bill, a legacy for the 97, simply because the passion for it stemmed from the failings of South Yorkshire Police Force, the cover-up that followed, and the lack of accountability. Sadly, our campaign group is made up of countless people who have had similar experiences. Orgreave, lab rats, the Shrewsbury 24, infected blood scandal, post office scandal, the Birmingham 21, Grenfell, all the COVID bereaved, truth about Zayn, people who have died in police custody, mental health settings and learning disability settings, and their families are left with no transparency, no truth, just cover-ups and a system that closes ranks and protects those who we should trust. Ordinary people that are thrown into an alien system designed to shield the state from scrutiny and accountability. If these victims, these good people, had not have stood up for themselves, nobody else would have. None of our members asked to be in this position, and there have been many a time when each and every one of us have wanted to give up. But even storms make trees grow deeper roots. We never thought that we would get here, and the journey to the Hillsborough Law wasn't easy. But we stood firm, we stood on our morals, and we were heard. The Prime Minister made a promise, and he is fulfilling it. The Hillsborough Law in its entirety. When at number 10, I told the Prime Minister, don't let this public accountability bill be watered down now. Our members have been through enough. And he looked me in my eyes and said, it doesn't need watering down, Charlotte. I hope that message runs clear to all those who fear the truth and still continue to oppose this law. Our input hasn't ended just because it started its journey through Parliament. We will be watching, we will be listening, and we will continue to follow its progress until it is passed in its entirety. No more fighting the state alone with no money...
I was going to step away for a moment from Charlotte Hennessy there, the daughter of a person who died at Hillsborough in 1989. She talks about what is called the Hillsborough Law, but it's more officially known as the Public Office Accountability Bill. It's now passed, and it will make sure there is a duty of candour on any public body that has to deal with a tragedy like Hillsborough, criminal sanctions for anyone that doesn't comply with that, and funding for bereaved families that go through the inquest. So let's bring in our political correspondent, Mari Aurora, who is in Liverpool for us at conference. Mari, look, we're stepping away for a moment as the Prime Minister welcomed Charlotte Hennessy to the stage there. Just touch on for a moment, if you can, how important it is that the Prime Minister was able to sort of bring this moment, this Hillsborough Law, to conference in Liverpool.
I think it's hugely significant for many reasons. This is something that Labour promised when they were in opposition, and as far as they're concerned, it's something that they are incredibly proud to be able to keep to in terms of that manifesto pledge, especially because Keir Starmer has developed a relationship with many of the Hillsborough survivors or their families over years, and so quite a few of those families are actually in the front row in the conference hall that you were just seeing on your screens a few moments ago. So he can actually look them in the eyes, face to face in that room, as he introduces Charlotte and explains that this is going to become law, and he is making good on that promise that they have been campaigning for years, for decades, frankly. And so I think it's significant for that reason. It's also significant because we are, of course, in Liverpool, a history of Labour roots in this city, but also, of course, the connection, the deep-rooted connection with Hillsborough and the Hillsborough disaster as well. So for the people of Liverpool, this is especially salient on that level as well. And as you were pointing out, we know that this is about giving a professional and legal duty of candour. It's also about expanding legal aid and creating this new offence for public bodies, so essentially misleading the public. Some of those serious breaches can be criminal sanctions for that. But also, again, this is about showing and demonstrating what you believe in. Keir Starmer is often criticised for not really having much of an ideology, for not believing in anything, for being a lawyer or not a leader. But when it comes to something like this, actually, this is kind of his safe zone, as it were. He is a lawyer, he's a human rights lawyer, and therefore this is the kind of campaign that is in the kind of comfortable area for him, because it's where he feels most at home to an extent. And so actually this is something that he can really sell to the people of Liverpool, to Labour Party members here, his own MPs, and the rest of the country, that he is on the side of truth, of honesty, of justice, which is what he tried to brand himself during the general election campaign, and which is what he really needs to remind people of while he's under threat from the Reform Party, the Lib Dems, the Greens as well, but also, of course, his own MPs and members, some of whom don't want him anymore. So it ties into so many different things, Kamali, when it comes to this Hillsborough announcement, but most importantly, and the only important thing really, is that the families of those victims of Hillsborough finally feel, hopefully, that they've got some justice.
Absolutely right about that, Amari. Well, look, let's move away from the important things that government do to some of the polling around this government. As you touched on there, the members of the Labour Party have made it clear in a recent poll how unhappy they are with the current direction of the government led by Sir Keir Starmer. Just take us through some of the polling that we've had as conference gets underway.
Yeah, so there's been some interesting polling from the Labour Party that came out this morning, all about how Labour members feel and whether they think he's doing a good job or not, Keir Starmer, whether think he's doing a good job or not. And it doesn't look good. Some of the polling is suggesting that they are disappointed in his leadership. Some of the polling is suggesting that they don't think he's necessarily the right person for the job, and therefore
Kirklees, your nearest Uber driver is 5 minutes away.
members as to their leader and whether they still want him to stay in power and in place. Of course, it's important to say, always important to say, Labour members are obviously not representative of the general public, and therefore, when it comes to a general election, it's the general public that Keir Starmer really needs to worry about. But nonetheless, you have to keep your members on side, especially because you don't want members and MPs agitating for essentially you to be ousted. So it's actually more important than perhaps it might look in terms of the fact that it doesn't matter for a general election, but it does matter for internal kind of party workings and to an extent Labour morale as well.
Now, take us through what we've heard this morning then, Mari. We heard from Steve Reid with Trevor first thing, sort of defending Keir Starmer and also their plans for the next few years, specifically around housing. I also then spoke, I don't know if you saw, with James Cleverly, his opposite number, who was quite dismissive of any plans.
Sorry, say that again, Kamal, it cut out.
Just on the topic at hand, Steve Reid's talking about building these new towns. What did you make of that planning? And I spoke to James Cleverly as well, the shadow housing secretary, about this a short while after, who said that it was the plans were basically not worth the paper they've been written on.
OK, so it's an interesting one. When it comes to this housing announcement, to an extent, there's not that much that's new in it. To an extent, James Cleverly could be kind of correct in terms of the fact that it's a bit of a recycled, rehashed announcement, but there are some newer elements, which is these 3 new towns, and then also the 12 locations that work is going to be done on when it comes to house building. So even though it's slightly recycled, there is actually some new elements in it, which is why Steve Reid wanted to talk about it. And Steve Reid really wants to show that he is hitting the ground running when it comes to his new housing brief. Of course, he's now replaced Angela Rayner as Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government, and he's been talking to delegates here in Liverpool and also journalists on the airways, saying that the Prime Minister gave him his marching orders to get on with these house building. And so we can listen to a clip now of Steve Reid where he explains a little bit of what the government is trying to achieve and why he thinks it is so imperative for Labour to get as many houses built as possible.
We've got new legislation going through Parliament right now. It should be signed off into law, get royal consent in November. That will speed up the planning process. Then I'm working with developers to take down the remaining barriers to getting homes built. We will go ahead and get those homes built up and down the country. We're also announcing today that we accept the recommendations of the New Towns Task Force, and this government will start building a new generation of new towns, something we've not seen since the end of the Second World War.
We'll see how the voters take all that. Mari, just give us a sense of what we can expect then for the next few days. The Prime Minister speaking on Tuesday, and it's just, again, I guess, a huge moment for the party at this conference.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There are different kind of significant moments in this conference. Of course, the PM's address on Tuesday, of course, Rachel Reeves' speech tomorrow, but actually there's a lot in between there where things can go right and things can go wrong. Today we've got Steve Reid, you're just seeing on your screen. Steve Reid is giving his all-important speech this afternoon. We also have some interesting other leaders who are giving speeches today. We've got Secretary of State for Wales, Secretary of State for Scotland, both of which are going to be incredibly nervous about the May elections coming up. It looks like Labour are potentially not going to do very well. They could be losing Wales for the first time in 100 years. So that is something to watch. We also have the Scottish Labour leader, Anna Sarwar, speaking, and also the Welsh First Minister. So a lot of interesting conversations, I think, about devolution, about Scotland and Wales, and really the central government's relationship with them and to them. So I think that will be an interesting and fascinating watch. But on Steve Reid, I mean, he's trying to essentially channel his inner Donald Trump. He's got these bright red hats made that say "Build, baby, build" on them, and he's wearing these hats and he's signing these hats like he's, you know, some kind of A-list celeb. And yes, on one hand, it might be slightly cringeworthy for a politician to be doing something like that, but nonetheless, Steve Reid is trying to catch people's attention and actually show people that, you know, Labour can be serious and perhaps a bit light-hearted at times. Some might be raising an eyebrow about whether they want to be channeling their kind of inner MAGA, as it were, with these red hats, when obviously the Republican Party associated with the MAGA movement is far, far, far away on the political spectrum from the Labour Party, especially those members of the Labour Party who tend to be a bit more left-wing than the general public as well, even the ones who do vote Labour. But nonetheless, there is huge amounts to come today, but then throughout the rest of the week. Rachel Reeves is going to be under huge amounts of pressure. There will be a vote at some point with delegates on the two-child benefit cap. That could be quite painful for the government, just as sending a signal. We still don't know if Unite the Union wants to disaffiliate from the Labour Party. Never mind all the fringe events. Andy Burnham is talking at a fringe event today, and I think we'll be doing many fringe events over this conference. What's he going to say about his leadership ambitions? There are so many difficulties in this conference for Keir Starmer that he has to negotiate, and so really it's about finding a way to make sure that he can make the best of it when things go wrong, but also understanding when things, for instance, when Labour's members tell him that they're angry.
All right, Mario Aurora at Labour Party conference. For now, more from you later, where you may or may not be wearing one of those red hats. Thanks for now. All right, well, there's plenty more to come from conference, as I say, throughout the day. But coming up here on Sky News Today in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you these live pictures of the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, after a huge Russian bombardment overnight struck the capital and other parts of the country. Some 500 drones, 40 missiles fired by Russia into Ukraine. You can see the devastation and the cleanup beginning in the Ukrainian capital. There's 4 people at least have been killed, more than 70 injured. We'll have the very latest of Russia's invasion of Ukraine after this short break.